Hello everyone, Attack Power here, with finally getting back to the deck building videos here with 7th Armored Desert Rats. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Check out the YouTube membership here. It really does help me out a lot, even if you just like and subscribe. Membership, of course, above and beyond. Thank you, you're a hero. Let's dive right in here. 7th Armored Desert Rats, a division that was introduced in the most recent Normandy DLC. A Commonwealth division, pretty solid overall. It doesn't have any, like, glaring weaknesses. It's a pretty well-rounded division. I think one of the more solid Commonwealth divisions, although there are some very strong Commonwealth divisions, definitely some stronger than this for sure. But I actually do like this division. I think it's pretty fun to play. I like the little niche it has. Overall, it's got a solid tank tab. Having plenty of Fireflies to work with is actually really nice. The infantry tab is better than it first appear, although it does have the interesting battle weary trait. Recon tab really solid with the Cromwells and the scouts with snipers and such. Your support tab phenomenal with tons of Cromwell 6s there, which are all 2k HE. AT tab, standard Commonwealth AT tab, which is solid work. Your AA tab, really good. Bofors, self-propelled Bofors. Your RD tab is fine. Sextons have lots of ammo. And your air tab, pretty strong as well. Commonwealth air tab does a lot of work. So, like, really nothing in here that's, like, terrible. But there's nothing that's, like, so strong. And this is like commonly the Commonwealth problem, ironically enough, is that just everything ends up being, like, mid to good, but nothing is, like, outstandingly better in a general sense. So that always makes these divisions kind of in an odd place. But let's dive in here to what we have. Recon tab, lots of options, but there is some weird phase locking here that has led to my choices for this. I should go back really quick. This division works really well, Vanguard and Maverick as well. You know, I build most things balanced. I do think this deck can go long, but truthfully, if I'm being real with myself, it's probably a better balanced deck. I mean, a better Vanguard Maverick, like, aggressive deck. You can get outgrinded for sure. Your Fireflies and stuff can be killed off, and then you're in, like, a bad spot for dealing with big tanks and things. But I do think this division can grind relatively well, although, again, you can kind of run out of infantry and stuff. That's definitely a possibility. But anyway, driving back in here. So the main scout infantry here is the scout itself. 20 points, 4-man team, has a sniper. I mean, that's really what matters here. It also does have a Vickers machine gun, which is nice. Like, if you're within 750-meter range, you are getting double the firepower here between the sniper and the Vickers gun here. And the Vickers-like machine gun is a solid machine gun. So, you know, due to the rate of fire and such. So it's pretty solid. Here's the battle weary trait. This is unique to this division. So essentially, it's similar to Disheartened, but it's not as extreme an effect as Disheartened, and it also comes with free veterancy on these units. So this unit essentially comes in at 1 vet. You don't really, going up to 2 vet is the obvious thing to do. There's really no reason at all to not give up 1 squad of these to go double vet. And same with here. Giving up 2 squads to go double vet is 100% worth it. It makes the sniper a lot more effective at double vet because technically it's 100% accuracy. I don't know if it's ever really 100% accuracy, but it's 100% accuracy there. You get the increased accuracy and rate of fire on the Vickers, which makes it really a pretty solid LMG then as well. So scouts, definitely the choice. The other options here are the Recce and the regular scouts. Piat, I'm hard pressed to ever would take these over the scout versions with the snipers. Then we have a Stuart 6 KRIH here. Also does come with the battle weary trait, which is nice. We could go to double vet. Actually, I'm going to do that. I don't know why we don't have it on double vet. Gets us up to that 10 rounds a minute, which is nice. A pretty high accuracy of 62% at the double vet. You get radio on this thing, which is honestly, for me, one of the main reasons to use it. And also light armor these days, really strong in the meta. In the meta's current place. So having a couple Stuarts around, really helpful at only 30 points. Purple Browning, although Brownings are not great machine guns on vehicles, with 3 of them, they do start to do some work. So this is nice for supporting your infantry and being all over the place. Then we have the Cromwell 4, excuse me, KRIH. We have 2 cards of these here in A and B phase. We could get more, I mean, up to 4 cards if we wanted to. I don't think that's really necessary. They are 60 points, which is a little bit expensive for the Cromwell, of course, a little more expensive because they come with radio and recon, which is really nice. Okay, their optics are only high, though. It's not very high optics, but they do come with a nice medium stealth, which is a bonus. They're okay. Cromwells are very mid tanks. They're supposed to be. They're only generally 50 points. Here they're 60 because of the recon and everything. So, you know, it's not meant to be a crazy good tank, but it is a very cost-efficient tank. And in this deck, it's nice because you can get a lot of that double vet, and they do function relatively well at double vet. Things we're not taking along, the Daimler AC here has no HE or anything on it. It's also phase locked to B. I don't really see any need for this. Your Stuart for 5 points more does a lot more than this thing. The Daimler Little John, I do like this unit. It is a very solid unit overall. The problem is it's phase locked to B, and by B phase, your opponent has a lot of AT that can instantly kill this thing. The big issue with it is the 1,000-meter range. Obviously, the penetration is phenomenal, but remember, we're only doing 4 damage, so it takes 3 penetrations to kill something, and everything can pen this. So that's the problem. Now, in other divisions where this is like your only armor, this is a great choice. But we have so many other options here that I just don't think it's needed to have this in here. If you really want the 130 millimeters of pen, like if you're playing, I don't even know where this really comes in handy. I don't see a good reason to be using this unit over other units here in the deck. Again, not that it's a bad unit at all, but I feel like you have better choices. Staghound is the only armor car I'd really consider in this deck specifically. Reason being, it actually can come in A phase. That's pretty huge. The other ones don't come in A phase, and that's a pretty big deal. So having this zip in at 90 kilometers an hour, definitely a good choice. Comes with very high optics as well. I don't hate this as an option, but I would prefer the Cromwell's over this just in this deck. But again, a good choice. You could definitely sub out maybe for the Stuart, actually, if you really wanted to. If you really wanted this Staghound for an early rush. If I was playing Maverick, I might consider doing this. I would probably consider doing this instead of the Stuarts. I do love these auto cars, the 75 mils. The problem is, once again, coming in B phase, these are really good statistically speaking, though, at 35 points. And the 50 cal, I do struggle not bringing these, but again, the whole B phase thing, these start to die really easy once you get to B phase, and that's kind of rough. And of course, we have the other Cromwells we are not taking here. Infantry tab, definitely an interesting one. I feel like the choices are pretty straightforward. There's only so many units here that are actually really solid. So A phase, we're bringing in the field engineers. Of course, all these units coming with free veterancy from the battle weary trait. I like field engineers at only 15 points. They will often take a much bigger squad with them when they die. I just kind of consider them suicide squads. They run in, they die, but they usually take something with them. And at only 15 points, if you're taking a 25-point pioneer, it's a 10-point positive trait. It's hard to complain. And if these guys run into a rifle squad in the woods, then a lot of times they win, and they might have a chance to get off a second grenade later. So really nice coming the Willy Jeeps. It's a good unit overall. Then we have the rifles Piat here, the first one in A phase, again coming with that free veterancy, which gives us a nice 9 men at A phase. And due to that, I do feel comfortable enough only bringing these 2 cards in A phase. It's aggressive, I understand. I would love to have more infantry in A phase, but I don't want to spend 4 points in this slot. And the other options essentially are just these multi-rifles and the regular rifles, neither of which are absolutely thrilling choices by any stretch of the imagination. I do not like defense groups at all, personally. I understand their usefulness, but I just do not like them. So A phase. Now, one thing to make sure you do is make sure you put them in CMPs and not Bedfords. Bedfords are trash. CMPs are nice, solid transports. Bedfords only at 60 kilometers an hour. Awful. You want to be using these CMPs whenever possible here, and you do have enough to kind of fill up everyone on a CMP for the most part. B phase, we get our second card of Rifles Piat. Again, Rifles Piat, solid these days. Really nice that they're walking around with a Piat for 25 points, which is technically a better rate than most of the divisions get for a longer range handheld AT weapon there. And then we have one of the unique units in this division, the Assault Engineers. This unit is actually very good. It is a line unit. Do not be confused by the fact it has shock and a flamethrower. It is truly a line unit, like a rifle unit. It's got 9 rifles and 2 Brens. Now, the Brens are assault rifles, so of course they do fire at 50-meter range in that forest, but these have no SMGs whatsoever. This unit is not great at actually fighting CQC. It is chonky, though, and yes, it does have the shock trait, which kind of gets a little bit countered by the fact that the battle weary trait then, you know, but obviously you only have so much stuff that can go in the woods in this deck, so having this is definitely better than not having it, and you would be a fool to not take both cards of these. You see I have one in B phase and C phase here with that veterancy. I don't want a double vet because I'm planning for this deck to go a little longer, so I want to have a lot of infantry, and honestly already single vet is probably plenty if I'm managing my tank leaders. Unfortunately, I have no rifle leaders in here. Not a big fan of that, but again, that 4-point slot really hurts. But yeah, good unit. Make sure they're in the CMP transport there. The Piat on this as well is really nice. A lot of people forget these have a Piat because the little flame icon covers up the tank buster icon. So it's this kind of like secret AT on this unit. It's not secret, but it kind of feels like it is. And then C-Phase, we also have the Desert Rat, the other unique unit to this division. This unit's not actually that great, I'm gonna be honest. I don't actually love this unit by any stretch. It's too small. 8 men just get overwhelmed pretty easily. And the loadout is kind of odd. I mean, the 3 Brens are, of course, the whole reason of taking this unit. But then you only have 3 rifles, so, like, their actual range output is not as impressive as at first glance. These are the 2 random Thompsons. Like, you don't want to be fighting at CQC with this unit, although all the Brens do help. It's not a bad CQC unit. Like, it's not for a rifle unit, for a rifle squad, it's not a terrible CQC unit. It's definitely not a CQC unit. Like, don't misunderstand that. It just is not the worst thing that's ever happened. It is nice that it comes in with the half track. Unfortunately, I can't bring the 50 cal half track. Maybe these guys can? No. It looks like it's either the Desert Rats or the motorized rifles. I guess I could bring instead if you really want the 50 cal half tracks. But I mean, maybe, arguably, I don't even know what I would take out, honestly. Like I don't even know. Maybe the beef. No, because then you can't bring the. Yeah, it'd have to be the A-phase cards of rifles Piat essentially, and then you could bring these guys in. But like these are so much worse than the rifles Piat. They're 2 men less. They only have 1 Bren. You end up with these 3 Thompsons, which are kind of useless for the most part, because why are you using this unit in CQC? It is 5 points less, but then you're bringing the the 50 cal, which is the whole point of that. So then they're 35. But yeah, no, I have a hard time with that. Things we're not taking, like I said, defense group do not like it. Engineer leader just can't find space. Multi rifles. They're just not great performing units, so I don't like having them. And then, of course, we're missing these multi-rifle leaders, and rifle leader would love to have them, of course, especially at double vet, but it's just so expensive, and they already come with veterancy, so it's not like I'm way behind. And the tank tab will give us some tank leaders to deal with. So over here in the tank tab, Cromwell's, of course, being our main tool here. We have Cromwell 5s in A, B, and C phase, with C phase being unvetted, so we can go the distance, calling in Cromwell's for all of time. We don't want to go all the way down to no vet. I think that's a little excessive, and we do need them to function. Then we have a card of Fireflies in every phase. Okay, we're leaving 1 at home. It does burn a little bit. Cromwell 7s only come in C phase, and you get so few of them that I just stuck with the Cromwell 5s. Yes, the Cromwell 7 is significantly better. That 120 millimeters of armor, really nice. But by C phase, your opponent probably has out their heavier AT anyway to deal with your Fireflies and stuff. So I just don't think this unit has the impact anymore at that phase in the game. If I could have brought it in B phase, I definitely would have brought it, but in this situation, I am not. We do have the Cromwell leader here. Unfortunately, there's no, like, Stuart leaders, which come in a higher availability. That would be nice. I would love to shove in a second card of these, of leaders somewhere. Not even sure where I'd find the 3 points, though. Nothing's hopping out at me. I would fight to try to shove another leader card in here because we are pretty low, truth be told. Actually, I mean, I don't even know why I have this, but that's why. Because the 2 points doesn't get me another leader anywhere. I could shave 2 points from something else again? I guess we could do this. There we go. And then this gives me the infantry leader I want. So now we can do that. There we go. And maybe even move this one to B phase. Okay, I actually like that adjustment a little bit. That gives me 7 leaders now to work with. Oh, I do have the Arty leaders over here. That's okay. More leaders is better. And I don't know if I need the commander with everyone already having, you know, veterancy kind of attached to them. Things we're not taking here. Stuart 6, not really necessary. And it only has the 2 Browning, so its usefulness in suppressing infantry even lower than the normal one. The Abbot of Chantry here only gets 1. It's just a waste of a slot. Leader, we talked about Cromwell 7. Like I said in my explanation why I'm not taking in, and I just can't fit the last card of Fireflies here. Support tab. I mean, there's really one main thing to be doing here, and that is the Cromwell 6. We have 2 cards of those here. We have the Bedford supplies, because despite the fact our Sextons come with a lot of ammo, they do run out, and you want those to continuously be firing. And we have a Vickers card, because Vickers are useful. Having heavy MGs in your deck is very nice. Things we're not taking, 2-inch mortar, bad range, we don't want it. Wasp Mark II. I mean, for 15 points, it's not actually the worst thing that's ever happened. It has armor, so like it doesn't get insta-killed by all small arms. But as is the case with many flame vehicles in this game, the range isn't long enough. They die to most handheld AT. It's not great. Another card of Cromwell 6s, just can't fit it, but if you want to really go nuts, you could go in C phase and like just have frickin' infinite of these. 9 of them, probably should be enough for a game if you're using them with any sort of care. And then we just saw me take out the commander because I don't have that many leaders, so why have the commander? Now I do, but I did. So, yeah. AT tab, we've shaved down to 1 6-pounder here in A phase. I'm a big fan of 6-pounders, actually, for 50 points. They have good penetration, a nice rate of fire, good accuracy, 1,500 meter range. Hard to complain. Then they have the APCR for clutch moments that can pen base almost anything in the game, all things considered. Damage is really low, though. You need 4 penetrations to kill something that's APCR, so that's really rough. Just something to be aware of. Wolverines, solid AT tank. These actually do come in really handy. Arguably, maybe you don't need these in this deck because you have the Fireflies, but I would like something a little more expendable than a 110-point Firefly for killing heavier tanks, especially at that medium range. So that's why I think this is a good include here. 17-pounder because you might want to kill something at 2k without having it have armor like a Firefly. So killing Panthers and stuff, this is really nice because Fireflies usually lose against Panthers. At least they should, statistically speaking. Things we're not taking, more 6-pounders, more Wolverines, more 17. The Achilles, I'm not a huge fan of the Achilles in this deck because you have the same unit on the Firefly for 15 points more with better armor, more machine guns, and I think it has more machine guns? Let's double check really quick. Oh, no, it doesn't. Firefly is actually a worse machine gun. Interesting. 7 rounds a minute. I mean, the Achilles has its bonuses. Has a much higher rate of fire. Okay, so there's definitely an argument to be made there. It is a higher rate of fire there. You're starting out at 8 instead of 6. So there is advantages to the Achilles, but the fact is it does die quite easily, comparatively speaking. The bigger issue is that it just takes up one of these slots, which definitely sucks. The availability is much lower. If you're getting 1 veterancy, you're basically getting almost none of them. And at no veterancy, they do miss a fair bit, which is frustrating, but I definitely wouldn't fault anyone for taking this over the Firefly. I mean, I just find the Firefly to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more survivable. Yeah, the open top also gets these killed a lot more easily to arty and mortars and things like that. A tab, really solid. I mean, you got a lot of good choices here. We're taking a Crusader AA here in A phase, and these are more for actual like infantry support than they are necessarily for AA. My actual AA is really depending on the Beauforts. You do have to be careful, though. There's no armor on this thing, so any counter battery will kill it. You do have to keep it moving pretty often. The reason I'm not taking the Crusader AA Mark IIB, it doesn't come with the veterancy. I think the lack of the veterancy hurts a lot, and the 40 mil Beauforts at 1 vet, to me, perform better than the shorter range of the Tripolston on no veterancy. That's my argument there. Could be wrong. The Tripolston technically puts out more damage and everything. And of course, the armor on the Crusader is nice. So I could see either way. Go ahead and in the comments, let me know which one you think is just straight better. The no armor on this one, that's my only gripe about this thing. Things I'm not taking, Stackhound AA. This thing's actually very good at support. Double rounding, you know, 50 cal is stupidly strong. Having double of them is really, really stupidly strong, and at only 30 points, it's nice. I don't have any room for it, but I don't hate these as support. More Crusader AA, more Beauforts, and we talked about the Crusader AA Mark IIB. So it's a good AA tab. It's got all the tools you could want. RD tab. Not actually a ton here, all things considered. I'm taking 2 cards of Sextons in A and B. I think this is plenty, especially because it's self-propelled, so you just move it, right? This stuff should never, unless it gets hit by like rocket artillery, which can be kind of surprising and immediate. There's really no reason you should ever be losing Sextons to counter battery because you can just move it really quick. I don't really see any reason to bring the mortars in this case because Sextons actually fire really quick and are relatively accurate, especially, of course, with radio. They are really quite accurate. So I don't really feel the need for the mortars here. 25-pounder is literally a Sexton that doesn't move. So, I mean, for 20 points less, I just don't think it's worth it. And come with half the ammo, which is kind of ironic. More Sextons. The GMC 155. Problem is, only comes with 10 shells. It's pretty easy to counter battery. Fires really slow. Phase lock to A and B phase. I just don't think this is the unit. And I think 2 Sextons is more valuable than 1 of these by a fair margin. So I would go with the Sextons all day. Cromwell 4. This is a tank. The nice thing about this off-map is it is a straight tank, which means you're actually only paying 80 points for the off-map because the Cromwell is 50 points as is. So, and this has a radio and recon actually, so this is really a 60-point tank, right? Because if we're going off that, so really you're paying 70 points for off-map. Technically speaking, that's really good. I don't take off-map on principle, but I mean, in terms of an off-map value, this is actually quite good for the value. You get 3 charges down here for this, at least I believe you should. Yeah, ×3 there. So if you're going to take an off-map, this one is quite good because it actually becomes a tank afterwards. It can be plenty useful in its tank role. Air Tab, some great choices here. Tempests are one of the strongest planes in the game. You get the medium resilience. It's very fast. I'm taking the light rocket variant here. With 8 150mm rockets, this thing's actually quite deadly. Still has the 4 20 mils. It can easily shoot down most planes. 540 kilometers an hour, not the fastest, but it can definitely shoot down any bomber, like heavier bomber in the game. And truthfully, a lot of times people will accidentally head on these things, and with the 420 mils and the medium resilience, this will win almost every time. So I'm a big fan of this unit. And then C-Phage for bringing the Mitchell 2. It's got a nice bomb loadout. It's not incredible. It can spread a little bit too far, but it is nice to have the heavy bombers there. Things we're not taking. Spitfire Recon for 60 points, to me, just seems way too expensive for that. I just don't see it worth it in my limited slots here. More Mitchell 2s we don't need. Actually, this one's just smaller? Yeah. Wait, what? I'm just noticing this. So this... Okay, so this one just has higher availability, but it has 4 less bombs. For the exact same price. I think I just prefer to wait till C-Phase. Although you can get them in B. I feel like the bombs are too spread to start, so I might as well throw 4 more bombs on this. Yeah, that's a tough one. Mitchell's bombers are not bad, though. They're pretty quick for a heavy bomber. They have very good resilience. It's hard to complain. A solid bomber overall. Spitfire, I don't see why you would take this when you have Tempest. Like, I really don't get it. I would just pay the extra 35 points and have a fighter that's absolutely, like, dominant in the air. Extremely fast. Medium resilience, can shoot down anything in the game quite efficiently. You'd probably bring them with veterancy because you get a pretty high availability curve at 1 vet. It does increase their accuracy a little bit. Tempest bomber, it's a good bomber. I like the rockets better because the rockets actually just do straight up more damage at the end of the day. And you don't have to fly all the way over the target, which is nice. Now, this bomber is much faster. So arguably, this is better if you're like really want a fighter, but the fact is the AA tab is pretty strong, so I'm not gonna be leaning super hard into my fighters, which is why I'm trying the rocket plane instead. I would not fault anyone for taking the bomber instead. Here's the heavier bomber variant. The problem is the availability is quite bad on this bomber, and it seems like a lot of points into this one basket of very few planes. So here, 7th, Desert Rats. Definitely other ways to build it. You can definitely build a lot more aggressively. Maverick Curve, you know, pile in high veterancy then. If you're going Maverick Vanguard, I would definitely double vet a lot of these things. You know, obviously move them in earlier, but you would double vet them. Get the, you know, you don't need the availability per se in that double vet. Then you get a leader next to them. Now they're triple star, and you are really starting to slap a little bit. At that point, I would even... I'd probably still leave single vet Firefly, but I'd probably double vet the V phase and move this other one over and have 2 double vet B phase cards. Probably move this Cromwell card over to B phase and double vet that as well. Yeah, again, a lot of double vetting. Might even vet the Cromwell 6s, although maybe not. How much do they actually improve from a veterancy? Okay, don't be like that, please. They do get 1 extra rate of fire, which is nice. Not sure if it's worth it. You can use these pretty aggressively, which is nice. Otherwise, the deck would probably look similar. Obviously, the bomber would move, you know, probably put that. I would then, if I was doing that, I would definitely take this in D phase instead. So, yeah, that's how I build it if I was a lot more aggressive about it. If you guys enjoyed this, hit that like button, subscribe, check out the YouTube membership. Thanks a bunch, everyone, and I hope you have a fantastic day.